Utah Jazz wheeling and dealing here with the NBA trade deadline coming tomorrow. And this Jazz team, we know they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference this season. And they get Nickelli, Alexander Walker, and Juancho Hernan-Gomez in a three-team deal. So right here, Alexander Walker traded for the second time in his many days here. He was on the Portland Trailblazers, and then the Blazers trade for him in the McCollum deal. And now flip him here today off to the Utah Jazz on the season for Alexander Walker. 12.8 points a game, 3.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.9 threes a game, and 37% from the field. So we know he's a guy that is pretty versatile, playing shooting guard and small forward. In the Jazz, they need a little more punch off the bench as well, and this is going to help him. So Alexander Walker, he's going to be fighting for minutes off the bench with Jordan Clarkson, who we know is one of the better scorers off the bench at the guard position in the NBA as a six-man. And also in the other deal, in the other part of the trade here, Tomas Hernansky as well, who was traded yesterday, will go to San Antonio in this one, and a second rounder they get. So, and Juancho Hernan-Gomez to Utah. So the Jazz here beefing up their depth on their roster, and they're trying to make a run for a championship this season. And longtime Utah Jazz Joe Ingles gets traded, and Elijah Hughes will go to Portland in this one. But Joe Ingles, we know he's out for the season with a torn ACL, but he's been a great Jazz player throughout the seasons, and he'll definitely be missed over there in Utah. But right here, the Jazz, they're going for it now, and this is a win-now type of move, adding two good depth pieces to their roster. In terms of Hernan-Gomez, this season, we haven't seen much out of Hernan-Gomez. Only 1.1 points a game, 1.7 rebounds, and 21% from the field. So right here, he's an emergency backup, and he was pretty much just thrown into this deal to even up the numbers. And Joe Ingles, we know he's not going to play. And Portland, they're just blowing it all up. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Blazers possibly trade Damian Lillard by tomorrow. But I expect him to be traded more in the offseason as Lillard. So Portland, they're just getting draft picks and stockpiling young players like Elijah Hughes, who definitely could be a factor here. And also the San Antonio Spurs, they're not much of a factor this season. And it wouldn't surprise me if Szymanski got traded once again. So on the season for Szymanski, he hasn't played much either. 2.8 points a game, 2 rebounds, and 29% from the field. So this deal here, very minor for the most part, except Nickelli, Alexander Walker, the only player you should really be worrying about in this situation here for fantasy basketball, because Thomas Szymanski's not going to play much. Ingles is out for the season, like I mentioned. Juan Hernan-Gomez was just a guy thrown into the Jazz for some depth and to line the contracts up. And Elijah Hughes, yeah, he's a guy maybe you take a flyer in deeper leagues. It's Portland pretty much has no one left over there that's going to play major minutes. But also Hughes, he barely played this season as well. So the headline in Nickelli, Alexander Walker, traded for the second time in as many days, but now he lands with the Utah Jazz, and we'll see if he can help them make that final playoff push and possibly go deep into the playoffs, obviously being a top 3 team in the Western Conference.